We're here on the euro dollar on the 15-minute time frame, and this is a flag pattern that I've got in. It is also following the trend, coming into a structure level on the higher time frame. I've used a lower low, lower closed entry here as my entry. I'm currently risking 22 pips for 35. I'll pause the video and bring up a new chart and do the higher time frame analysis. Okay, so here we are on the daily time frame, and there isn't a great deal here, to be honest with you. We had this new low here, then we had a break to the upside. We violated this level of structure. You can see there's an awful lot of consolidation here, and one thing that I am keeping an eye on is this. So you can see that we had this level here, here, and then here we have actually closed below it, though you can draw this line out again where the wicks are and say that we haven't actually come down to the wicks. So we're within that zone here where the candles have closed below the structure level, but we're still within the wicks. More of an indication that we could go lower, but nothing I can trade. I'm simply just using the daily time frame there just to get an idea of what's going on. Here on the 240 then we had a move higher, a pullback, a move higher, and then we started to trend lower. If you remember last week I did have a winning trade on this, and this right here is a lovely area here of consolidation. We do find that when we approach this level of consolidation, we do tend to see a reaction there, and because this is trend continuation, I would be expecting a move to the downside. Now this is actually still trend continuation for me. We came down to here, we saw a pullback, we saw a pullback to here, and then we saw another new low. So I would be expecting price to come down to this structure level. So what we can also do here is highlight the wicks, and I'm going to highlight all of them. In fact, I'm just going to leave the wicks highlighted, and we're going to drop down a level and we're going to take a look, and as you can see here we are still within the wicks. And what we have is we've got this very directional move, and very importantly this here did not retest the lows, okay? Did not retest the candle lows, and for me that classifies as though it's not a double bottom. We didn't retest the lows, and I can then look for a flag pattern, and I'll just draw it out like this. Okay, just remove that, make this a bit clearer. So what it means is that we have a test. This does count as a test because again we did not retest these lows. You can see it did not come down and retest it. Then we have a test and a test, and this trend line here, for me, I move them to make sure that we haven't violated structure. So I have it on the closes of the candles first of all, and as you can see we've closed above, but we've actually not violated the wicks, and so we've actually held that level. So for me this is perfectly valid. And if we drop down again to the 15, which I've actually used this as an entry, you can see that we're still within this highlighted box, this big blue box, and we've had now a lower low, lower close, which was that one. Here on the 15 we've still not retested these lows, so again still perfectly valid for me. If we throw a fib on, you can see that we have come into a 61.8 fib just here, and we've got a wick up at that area. And what that means then is that because this is trend continuation coming into that very good structure level, I've used a 15-minute lower low, lower close as an entry based on the flag pattern. I can then play for the full extension of that 127, and I'm just going to throw a fib on here and look at that, where that 127 comes in at. And right here you can see it's just above our structure level, which we put on earlier. So just let me remove this. Let's bring over the original trade, the original chart, which is here, and this is how it then looks. So if I just If I go out to the 60 here, then you can see we've got that level of structure which we highlighted. We can clearly see the flag pattern, and we were risking 22 pips here for 35. You can see my targets are actually a couple of pips above that 127, and so very nice risk to reward here. We've got a 1 to a 1.5 risk to reward. We are in trend continuation, so I can play just for one target, which is at 127, and I'll set an alert here and high probability trade, so we'll come back and see if we can get down there, and if we do, I'll go ahead and move to break even, hopefully get down for targets. We're back for an update on this trade, and as you can see now, we have actually broken out of the channel, which is great. That's what I like to see. A couple of things could happen now. We could see a continuation down and breach this level, which would be fantastic. That would be a real strong indication that we're going to come lower, or we could actually pull back up for a retest. I didn't say it on this video, but I do say it on nearly all the videos. Watch out for the retest, and that would give you a very conservative entry, but I'm hoping now that we're just going to push down here towards those targets. And we're back for an update on this trade, and what I've done here is roll a couple of pips past break even, put the structure level on just here. You can see we have not violated it, and we've put in a 3-bar reversal, so we put in a doji followed by a higher high, higher close. So I'm actually going to have my stop right on the break even line, so it's just above this level here. In actual fact, bear with me, 3, I'm going to give it a couple of extra pips. There we go. Okay, so 3-bar reversal. We didn't break structure, so on these flag patterns typically I would take target 1's here, target 2's at the 127. However, because this was trend continuation, I was playing for one target. Now we could though reverse at this point, of course we could, although I do know we have a higher probability of going down to hit our target. So I've given this a couple of extra pips, so worst case scenario here is I lose a couple of pips, and we'll just hold and see if we do actually get this thing to reverse down to our targets. And we're back for an update. You can see we are just testing the take profit line now, currently 34 pips up. We're just going to give this a second for this thing just to spike down a little bit further here and go ahead and take those profits. We are at break even here, and there we go, guys. 34 pips on that trade. Lovely trade. Put me through some pain, if I'm honest. We came down, retested the lows. I did say this was trend continuation. We kept pulled back. We put in a new low, failed to break the lows again. Pull back. I did say we'd put in a 3-bar reversal, so I had my stop just above here. I know I'm repeating myself here, guys, but I think it's important not just to see it win, but explain the process as well. And now we've seen that move to the downside, so you can see that we've just come into that 127. Lovely trade there for 35 pips. Took a day or two, but nevertheless, lovely winning trade.